welcome to this week's episode of A Lost Cause. We are on a little road trip for this episode, as you can see.
We're not. We're in my driveway.
Yeah. It's nice and quiet in here, so it's our little studio.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are. Last week we talked about the tailies. This week we are talking about Rose and Bernard. And so we decided to include Bernard in Rose's episode rather than talk about him in the Tailie episode, because we meet Rose in season 1, and when we first meet Rose, what do we learn about her in season 1?
Well, we learn that she lost her husband in the crash. She can't find her husband. Everybody thinks that he's dead because, it was a plane crash. He was on the tail. The tail's in the water.
Because I think he went to the bathroom or something, right? Like, why were they separated when it actually crashed?
I don't know.
I think he went to the bathroom. Yeah. So that's why
Charlie was in the bathroom.
Or maybe he was just like
who knows?
Other end. But yeah.
And he ended up being a part of the tail crash. And so nobody believed her that he was still alive, but she knew. She thought, oh, he's got to be somewhere. He's alive. I can feel it.
So we really don't know, but like all of season 1, we're hoping that she's right because she just seems so sure. And I think there's a scene where, she says, well, there's a fine line between faith and denial, but like I know that he's still alive because I feel it and I know that it's true. And then the most wonderful
It always
thing,
reminds me of Gandalf.
Which part?
In the when he's like, I know that Frodo's alive or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
What does your heart tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Frodo is alive. Yeah. And then it's just so wonderful because she was right. And so we meet Bernard, and it's like really great because everyone's kind of introducing themselves, and then, Sawyer and Michael and Jen are kind of like, hey, it's him.
Yeah, and then they actually tell him she's alive, and it always brings me to tears.
And is Bernard quite what we were expecting?
No. No.
Because, so Rose is like African American, she's black. So we kind of are like imagining this husband to also be black, but he is white. Yeah, so there you go. But then, of course, once we find Bernard is alive, all we want is for them to get reunited. And
I love those reunions.
Yes.
They're great.
And the, suspense is just, and the anticipation keeps rising. And I just wanted, Rose to know that she was right this whole time and that he's still alive. So we've got to wait a while for it, though, right? Because there's, the whole thing about them being thrown in the pit and then making their way, back to the beach.
Shannon.
And then the whole Shannon thing. Yeah. So it just seems like, they're never going to get there. But that's really what we're all waiting for. And then it's so wonderful to see them together. So it's only after we meet Bernard that we get a little bit more of Rose's backstory. So what do we learn in kind of Rose's first flashback?
I actually don't remember what her job was.
Yeah, I don't either, but
she lived in some place where it was snowy. I don't remember.
New York, maybe.
But then she met, her car was stuck in the snow. And she met Bernard.
I think he was going to help her get unstuck, and they kind of argued a little bit.
Yeah, and it's so cute.
And then I think he asked if she wanted to go for coffee. Or maybe she asked him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
And why were they in Sydney, or why were they in Australia?
So, it turns out that, Bernard proposed to her. It was really sweet, and we're all expecting her to say yes because they're married. But she says no, because she's sick with cancer, and she knows that, she's not going to have that much time left, so it would just kind of be a waste. But he's like, no, I want to marry you.
Yeah.
I don't care, it would be worth it. So then they do end up getting married, and then Bernard is, so determined to make sure that she is okay and survives, and he makes a GoFundMe for her or something like that. And brings her to this doctor who
Well,
apparently...
I think it's actually supposed to be their honeymoon, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And brings her to this doctor, this like alternative doctor, who's supposed to heal her cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember, does she just say like, I'm gonna tell my husband you love me?
So the doctor, or like the guy, the healer, explains to her that there's pockets of like magnetic energy in certain places, and where they are is a very strong pocket of it. So a lot of people that come are healed, and he's got like pictures on the wall of all kinds of people. And I don't know that he is a charlatan. Like it seems like maybe people really have been healed there, but it doesn't happen for Rose. And she can just feel, like she says, when you've been sick that long, like, you feel it. But she decides to tell Bernard that it worked, so that...
And honestly, I'm not a big fan of that. Like, I understand that she wanted to, like, have good memories with him, but I just think you should always be honest.
Be honest, yeah, it's a tough one, because, like, she didn't want him to spend the rest of their time together searching for something that didn't exist.
Is it just my glasses, or do I look really blurry?
No, I think you're okay.
Okay.
And so she decides to kind of lie about it, and so Bernard believes she was healed at, this place, but what actually happens?
What happens?
She's healed by the island.
Right. I thought that's where we were going, but then I was like, am I forgetting something?
Yeah, so they crash, and Rose can feel in her body that she has been healed. And when do we learn this?
Bernard is making like an SOS sign.
Well, that's when he learns it. But when do, like, we as the viewer, when do we learn it? It's actually a great scene between her and John Locke, because this is around the time that John Locke has kind of, he's very discouraged. He's injured his leg very badly on the, like, door to the hatch that comes down. He's just kind of not sure what to do. And then, Rose says to him, well, we both know that, like, it's not going to take that long to heal your legs, right? And then he kind of looks at her, and so then it flashes back.
Right.
And Rose actually was, like, kind of the only person to see John in the wheelchair. And then, flashes to, like, that famous scene of him kind of standing up. And so she's known this whole time that he was healed by the island, because she was also healed. So I really like that scene, because it's a nice little moment between her and John. And it just gives us insight into, like, just kind of the extent of her faith, and that she keeps a lot kind of quiet, but knows a lot. And then she does end up telling Bernard. So Bernard is, like, really desperate to get off the island. And go ahead and what you were saying.
So he was making this SOS sign. And he was being kind of pushy with it, a little, annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody quit. And he was all sad. And then Rose was like, Bernard, stop. Like, I don't want to go back. And he was, like, all shocked. And he was like, why? And then she was like, because I'm okay now. Something like that.
Yeah, and he thought, well, yeah, you've been okay since, like, our trip. But then she tells him.
Right, then she,
tells him, like, I wasn't healed there, but I was healed here.
So then she's kind of scared it will go away.
Yeah. And so then, what does Bernard say? He's like, well, then let's never leave. So he goes from just trying to, like, recruit everybody to get off the island, and he's all frustrated that, like, people are getting too comfortable on the island, and he doesn't like the hatch, he doesn't like that Echo and Charlie are building this church. It's like people are settling down when they should be putting all their energy into getting off the island. But then, after that, from that point on, like, Rose and Bernard are pretty much, like, other than John Locke, the ones that are the most committed to staying on the island. So let's talk a little bit about Rose and Bernard as a couple. How would you describe them?
Well, I mean, obviously, like, they really fit together, but maybe not how you would expect. Because, well, take the ending of season 3, for example, when they're going to kind of ambush the others. Rose wants to head to the radio tower.
Radio tower, yeah.
And Bernard wants to stay and be one of the shooters. And so then there's that kind of tension. Bernard always wants to be a part of this stuff, but Rose kind of humbles him.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, like, you are not Rambo,
Yeah.
you're a dentist.
So it's an interesting relationship because they clearly really love each other.
Yeah.
But they do bicker a lot. And Rose really likes to prove Bernard wrong. And it's interesting because Bernard has a tendency to sort of think he's right and he knows what to do. And usually, like, Rose is right. Like, if you think about the tying the knots and like, just different things, like, you know, Rose is kind of like, let me show you how it's done. So it's interesting, though, too, because, like, we talk sometimes on this podcast about the Enneagram and what numbers people are. And I think Rose is a really good example of an 8, of, like, a healthy 8, because 8s are, like, very blunt and direct and tell it like it is. Sometimes, like, unhealthy 8s have a tendency to sort of be a bully or be controlling. But a really healthy 8 actually, like, takes that and instead of bullying people is a protector. And I think that's what we see in Rose. But she can be a little bit blunt at times and, you know, I think does offend Bernard or hurts his feelings. But what's great about Bernard is he's not like a doormat to her. Like, he will sort of argue back and stand up for himself a little bit. So it ends up being a nice dynamic, and they're actually just a very solid couple. So yeah, that's kind of what they're like. Another thing about Rose is I would describe her as very wise. Like, she speaks with a lot of authority and she ends up being right about a lot of things. So that's why it's a little bit surprising and a bit unsettling when, you know, there's kind of the moment where the freighter has been, discovered. They found the phone, the satellite phone. And so then there's kind of a split that some people are going to follow Jack and a few people decide to follow Locke. But then Rose says, I'm not going anywhere with that man. Which is, like, a little bit surprising because
it's weird.
She'd always liked Locke, and we sort of wonder, well, like, what's that about, you know?
But it was because he killed Naomi.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, yeah, I mean, really, he was right. Like, yeah. So then that kind of doesn't totally add up, but... And so I think another thing that we see from Rose and Bernard is, like, everyone else on the show, they kind of pick sides and sometimes go from one side to the other. But, you know, Rose and Bernard, it's kind of like your favorite Lord of the Rings character, Treebeard. That they're sort of like, nobody's favorite is Treebeard. But he does have an interesting line, which is, you know, side. I'm going to say it much faster. Side, I'm on no one's side. Like, no one's on mine.
It took about a full minute in the movie.
Yeah. But it's basically, they just sort of don't take sides. They just kind of do their own thing together. And so how do we see, like, that go? Like,
well,
like, what happens to Rose and Bernard?
So that's, like, what? Season 4, we don't really see them much. They're kind of just staying with Jack, staying kind of at the beach. And then we don't see them at all, really. Yeah. Not really, until the finale of season 5.
But yeah, there's several episodes where we don't really know where they are, what happened to them.
And
this includes, like, during all the time travel jumps and stuff. Go ahead.
And they're actually, like, in 1977, just living in the bushes together with Vincent.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah, and so...
Because we'd kind of forgotten about him in the time jumps.
Well, yeah, we don't see a lot of characters, right? We don't see Claire, we don't see Rose and Bernard or Vincent. But it turns out, like, the time jumps don't really affect them much because they're just kind of living their own little life. And I think Bernard describes it as, like, you know, isn't it everyone's dream to sort of, like, retire with a little place on the beach? So they make the best of it. They've got each other. They're healthy. Bernard, decides to go like full on beard. So
They like go fishing.
yeah, and they learn to survive, and then there's the Dharma drops, right, of food.
Well, but then the Dharma Initiative would actually be using that stuff.
Yeah, it's not really clear how they make it through the Dharma years.
I think that they still had stuff from when, like, Jack was the leader.
I know, but then would that have traveled with them? Like, anyways, maybe they just fished for a while. But they find a way to survive and to make it. And so then, where do we sort of... Actually, this might be a good time to have your art. Because I just talked about the beard.
Oh, yeah. So, this is episode 17's artwork. It's Rose and Bernard and Vincent. I wanted to add Vincent because, like...
He's their dog.
Yeah.
He sort of becomes their dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, when do we meet up with Rose and Bernard again? And now I'm thinking kind of after the incident.
Why don't you take it away with this one, Shawna?
Well, isn't it really Desmond that kind of comes upon them? Or
Right.
Well, it doesn't come upon them, but we learned that they have a rule, which is...
Don't get involved.
Don't get involved. And that's how they survive. They don't get involved. People can kind of do their thing. They're just going to do their own thing. But then they break their rule for Desmond. And how?
They help him out somehow?
So now this is kind of like
right.
towards the end of the series. This is when Widmore has brought Desmond back to the island.
And Flock is being mean.
Yeah.
And he shoves Desmond down a well.
Yeah, because he doesn't really know what they want with Desmond. He considers Desmond to be a threat to him. So he puts Desmond down this well and tells Saeed to kill him. But then...
Oh, so this is our idea. We know Vincent finds him, and then he probably goes back and gets Rose and Bernard to take him out, because when Desmond wakes up, he's in their little hut.
Yeah, and Rose kind of explains, like, look, like, we broke our rule for you, so, we don't want any trouble. And then the first time they break their rule, there is a consequence, because then Flock, or, Locke, the man in black, disguised as Locke, does come upon them, and, like, it's a really bad moment, because, he's like, either you come with me, and he's got this knife, and he's like, or I'll make it hurt, and we're just kind of like, oh no, this is awful. And so Desmond goes with him to spare Bernard and Rose. But yeah, it's like, that's like one of those scenes where we really see how bad the man in black is.
I mean, I'm not saying I was rooting for him, but I wasn't rooting for Jacob either.
Well, it's a valid discussion, like, is Jacob really that much better? It just still kind of bothers me that it was John Locke whose form he took. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, no. I much would have had it be Yemi. Like,
I just don't know if I really like it overall. I mean,
but then Ben wouldn't be manipulated into,
like, it's a great
Jacob.
showcase for Terry O'Quinn. He gets to kind of show a whole different side and be the villain, but it just bothers me that, like, it's just such the opposite of what Locke stood for and what
It's
he was
because you're
about.
totally in love with Locke.
No, I'm very sympathetic to John Locke and just recognize his... I mean, he's really the opposite of the man in black, because, like, John Locke understands the heart of the island and wants to protect it, and that's what the man in black is trying to destroy. Just leave it. So it's just really unfortunate that it works out that way.
No, don't. We'll just edit it up.
Just gonna see. Oh, there. Our fans just keep calling when we're trying to, like, be on the air.
Joe, stop.
Like, please, like, don't call when we're trying to record. Like, if you want to be a guest, just email us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they end up being okay, we assume. And probably even... Poor Annie's sick.
Yeah, I'm infected.
Yeah.
Take me to the temple.
Be quarantined. But they seem to survive, and we can only assume that after everything happens and Hurley becomes the new protector of the island and Ben is his number 2, Desmond's still lying on the ground unconscious. We can only assume that, like, Bernard and Rose just continue.
Wait, what was Desmond's deal again? I don't remember.
Well, because he was, like, down in the, like, where the light was.
Right.
And then they, like, pull him up, and Hurley thinks that it's going to be Jack, but it's actually Desmond, right? And then, Ben, maybe to make up for having shot Desmond and tried to kill his wife in front of their son, says,
I don't remember that.
Hey, like, maybe we can help him get home. So, thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
But we do see Rose and Bernard again, briefly, in the Sideways. And so, how do they seem in the Sideways?
Pretty similar, right?
Yeah, pretty similar. So we encounter Rose when Hurley kind of tries to set John Locke up with his temp agency. And he goes in and, like, some woman, she may have played the psychic. Or
she was a psychic.
Was like this fortune teller. But she sort of asked him questions like...
She's a real freak.
Kind of flaky, like what animal would you be, stuff like that. And then he's like, can I talk to your...
see if these work.
Ooh. Can I talk to your manager? And it's Rose. And I think it's sort of a similar situation to, like, how John was on the walkabout, kind of like, don't tell me what I can't do. And she's trying to, like, find a job for him that he can actually do, right? And that's how he becomes a substitute teacher at Dr. Ben Linus's school. So...
I think it's just Dr. Linus.
Dr. Linus, yeah. The history whiz. And so that's where we see Rose, and then how do we come across Bernard in the Sideways?
I don't remember. You'd have to tell me.
So he's still a dentist. He's on the flight from Sydney. I don't know if they're married in the Sideways, though. Rose and Bernard?
Really?
I'm not sure. I
don't know about that.
I don't know if we, like, encounter them separately or they're already together. But anyway, Jack goes to Bernard because he's looking into John Locke's medical records. Like, he wants to know how he ended up in the wheelchair. And so he's sort of being a detective. And then Bernard was his dentist. And actually so it's different in the Sideways. Like, in kind of the real world, we know that John Locke ended up in the wheelchair because his dad, like, threw him out of a window. But in the Sideways, he was actually, I think, in a car accident with his dad. And so that's how he ended up. And I guess he had a lot of, like, dental damage in the accident, too. And so that's why Bernard has the files. And so we don't see Rose and Bernard kind of, like, wake up, together in the Sideways.
But they are in the church,
But
right?
they are in the church. Mm-hmm. So it must happen. So, yeah, we don't really see that happen for all the characters, I guess. But, yeah, so this is probably a good time for our shout-out.
Actually, I'm going to add on a shout-out, but you do the first one.
Well, as you know, Annie and I like to do the thrifting, and we like sidewalk sales. And so on Broadway, there was, like, the Broadway Street Fair, which was really fun, and we did lots of shopping. And there's a store on Broadway called...
Dharma Shakura.
Mm-hmm.
And so in there, I bought, like, this whimsical skirt that's, like, Oldham vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the bagua, which is the Dharma symbol, like, on necklaces, but they also had the giant statue monster thing, and underneath their, like, cross, the Ankh, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And something that looked like the oceanic symbol.
Yeah, it was like this little round thing that was kind of had, like, blue and white circles.
I didn't see it. She saw it.
Well, I thought, because, like, Annie was trying to, like, point something out to me, sort of, like, on the sly without drawing too much attention. And I thought she was pointing at the oceanic thing, so I kind of looked at her like, what? But she was actually pointing to the, what?
Ankh.
Yeah. So... But yeah, it was
okay.
It was interesting because it was very kind of lost.
Are we ready for our other
And then what's the other
no.
shout out? Oh, Daniel.
Daniel.
Why does he always fall down?
Daniel. It's okay. Oh, I wonder if it'll work. I didn't actually think about this. I'm on Pinterest, and I have been promoting my our channel on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so once we get our YouTube channel, I will have the link on Pinterest. So go support my account, and you can find me at, oh, now it's loading. Okay, you can find me at Annie Sparrow 13. My profile picture is Ben Linus, and my banner is The Man Behind the Curtain. And literally everything I have is about The Man Behind the Curtain. I'm actually on my dad's old account. That's why I have 82 followers. I promise I did not get those from myself. But yeah, my username is The Man Behind the Curtain. No spaces or anything. Oh, there's a little plane emoji before that. I don't know if that is important, but yeah, go support us. I'll have our channel linked there.
There you go. And we often like to talk about what's going on in the world. Don't really have any major events, except this has been a very significant week since our last podcast. Something very important has happened to Annie. What have you been doing since our last podcast?
Oh, right. Right, I'm in high school now.
Annie's so high school now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm like totally Walt.
No.
Yeah, because Walt's in high school.
Well, I think you'll do better than Walt.
Alex?
In life. Yeah, you're like
yeah,
Alex.
Sideways
Yeah.
Alex.
Sideways Alex.
I'm sorry about what I texted you. I was really tired, and I wasn't really thinking it through.
What was it?
Well, I said that, like, I find comfort in knowing that my history teacher stole me from an insane
Yes.
woman in an alternate
Yeah, so
universe.
I was kind of like, I'm just gonna let that one pass by.
But then you just, like, left me on red, and I was like, oh no, I really screwed this up.
You know, I'm like trying to find out, like, how's it going? Like, how are you adjusting to high school? And then that's all I got. But how has it been going?
It's been going great. I have a class with 4 Bens.
Yeah.
So that's great. And I have a class with 2 brothers that, like, have first names and then Saeed. I'm praying for the Bens. If you're a Ben and you go to Aiden Bowman, I'm praying for you. Stay out of their way.
Also, you met someone who looks very much like young Ben. Young Ben.
Okay, should I tell the story?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was in English class, and then this person came up, and I was like, that's young Ben. That's young Ben. They got, like, the Ben bag, the Converse, everything.
The round glasses.
The round glasses.
Kind of like longer hair.
The hair. Maybe not the same color. But, you know, I was like...
It did bring young Ben to mind, which I know, like, isn't an extraordinary thing for Annie, but still.
So then I sit beside young Ben, and I'm like, hey, I love your shirt, because
Because young Ben
was wearing a Beatles shirt. And then attendance came, and then nothing, like, they just didn't talk to me. So I was like, oh, I'm sure you'll, what's the line?
And that's like young Ben
I'm
too.
sure you'll, Horace, please! I'm sure you'll talk when you have something
to
say. That's not the exact line.
See, but it's better that young Ben didn't answer you, because it's more young Ben.
Anyways, attendance came around, and it turns out young Ben's name is Jessica, and it's a girl, and they're nonverbal. So that friendship went down the drain.
Which is too bad, because you thought it was, like, your chance to actually, relive the, like, Annie, young Ben.
I know.
Like, in real time.
I don't really know how that would have worked, but, like, anyways, that's not the craziest thing of all.
Have you heard, like, of this person say anything yet?
Well, actually, like, she had to, because the teacher picked on her. So she can
talk.
Well, yeah, she's just selective mutism, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyways, that's not the craziest thing yet. Because at the street fair, I had already talked to Shawna about it, and she was like, whatever, Annie, you're
No,
just
I
obsessed.
did not say that, but in my mind I was like, Annie's probably seeing young Ben everywhere, so, like, I'm just going to take this with a grain of salt.
And then Jessica was there, and Shawna understood.
I was like, whoa, like, that is totally young Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah,
had to agree
and then,
with Annie.
like, I do, like, jump a little. Today she was wearing, like, a button-up shirt, and I was like, oh, wait, that's not, it's okay.
So what class are you in with the English, you said?
English,
Yeah.
the last class, so.
And then
I'm probably just gonna, like, carve some dolls and give one to her.
Yeah, why
not?
not?
Not a big deal.
What could it hurt? And then we had sort of another thing happen that was like a little bit losty in that, so last weekend we were like driving in my Jeep, my Dharma Jeep, and there was this mosquito, and like,
Oh, yeah,
I
forgot
thought
about
that I
him.
had killed the mosquito. I thought I had like,
No, I knew you didn't. You were,
well,
like,
but I did,
so off.
I did hit it and it like fell, and so I thought, okay, it's gonna die. And then a week later, because I like hadn't driven the Jeep for a week later, I get in and then there's this mosquito buzzing. And I'm like, well, is it the same mosquito as a week ago? And so then Annie said,
let's name him Mikhail.
Yeah. And so then we like went to my place and we're wondering, if Mikhail would still be there in the morning. And
he was,
yeah, he
but
was.
Then you lost him. Don't you dare pause it. What's going on? Just wait. Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to drain the battery, but we're almost
done. She went to the lake, and now Mikhail's roaming free, just looking for someone named Charlie.
Well, either of Mikhail's finally dead, or is now living in Manitou Beach.
So if you live in Manitou Beach and your name is Charlie, run for it. Run for the hills. He's not going to stop until he finds you.
And this is a very strong mosquito. Okay, well, we're maybe finishing. Well, we'll see how long the hot take goes. But
All right.
Annie, time for the hot take.
My hot take is that Rose and Bernard are an underrated couple.
Yeah, can explain.
Well, everybody's all like, oh, Charlie and Claire, oh, Desmond and Penny. And don't get me wrong.
Desmond and Penny.
They're great.
Are usually the ones that
they're
people
great.
would say.
I love them. But, like, you gotta hand it to Rose and Bernard.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
They're a really good couple. They're really good together. It's also kind of romantic because, like, we find out that, yeah, we sort of, I think at the beginning assumed they've been married for a really long time because they're middle-aged, let's say. But then we learned they actually were, on their honeymoon in Sydney. So they kind of found each other later in life. And I think Bernard was actually a bachelor, like, before meeting Rose. He hadn't been married before. I think Rose has a daughter, though, so she may be. But anyway.
Well, in a deleted scene, she says that.
But it's really a beautiful love story between the two of them, and the way that, I don't know, like the way that Rose kept believing, the way that Bernard is just going to do anything it takes to, like, keep Rose healthy. It's just, it's wonderful, even though and I think it's maybe like a more realistic view of marriage. Like, it's not all just, I love you, Penny, and like all of these like constants and romantic things. I mean, that's all wonderful, but we sort of see more of the day-to-day real life through Rose and Bernard. So I think that's a good hot take. And I would add that Rose and Bernard kind of add to the theme of faith, which runs throughout Lost. So we talked about how, Rose has faith that Bernard is alive and doesn't let go of that. But then also, like, Bernard, who's kind of another man of science, right? He's a dentist and pretty rational. Also has faith that Rose can be healed. And I think it's just that he so wants her to live. Because it just seems too tragic that, like, he doesn't find anybody his whole life, and then he finally meets Rose, and she's dying. And he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. And it's pretty romantic that he decides to marry her anyway. And then, they end up spending eternity together. So
it's sweet.
It's very sweet. And Rose and Bernard are a couple of the few characters that don't have, like, a really bad backstory, like as far as they didn't kill anybody or, you know, they don't, like so many characters have quite a checkered past and are sort of on this path of redemption.
So,
But that's not really the case with Rose and Bernard.
what would you do if I pulled out a can of cyanide right now?
Oh no! You totally set me up. And he's all like, no, I don't want to do the podcast in the van. And I'm like, no, it'll be great. We'll pretend that it's the Norma bus. Oh, why? I remembered your birthday.
Wasn't enough.
That's what I don't know if we covered this, but that's what I wrote on Annie's birthday card this year. I said, you know, nice things. And then I said, no, that was for your grad, that I actually wrote like what Eloise wrote to Daniel for his grad. But then for your birthday, I wrote something really nice. And then I said, P.S. I remembered your birthday. Please don't put me on the purge list. So.
I have a purge list on my phone.
But there's no
things
like,
I don't
people on it.
Yeah, there's not. There's none. There's none.
Oh, I think we forgot something else that happened a few days ago. Someone else's birthday.
Oh! Oh my word! I don't know. Happy birthday, Michael Emerson. I love you so much. I didn't make a banner for him, but I just sent you those.
Yeah, you
really
sent
great.
me like whatever, 7 pictures or something.
And like a bunch of GIFs.
Yeah. And then when Annie comes to stay at my place, there's like a calendar on the wall, and so then I like turn the page, September, and Michael Emerson's birthday was like marked out. And then my birthday was like September 27th, September 28th, Shawna's birthday, bracket 92. So.
Also, the 30th is coming up.
Yep. Well, you always go to that. There's another significant day in September.
Oh, yeah, the day of the plane crash.
Yes, the day of the plane crash.
Right. Who cares? More importantly, the 30th is the anniversary of me watching The Man Behind the Curtain.
Yes. So when we fill out the forms, like for the mental institution, and they say, like, when did these symptoms begin? We'll know that it's September 30th. So it's...
Anyways, the best news is coming up, because now that we're done with all these stupid people, we can finally get to the Henry Gale episode. And then after that, we have the Benjamin Linus episode. And then after that, we have the young Benjamin Linus episode. We don't know which order they're going to go in. But we're going to have 3 in a row, which means we can do one on the 30th.
Which is, what day is that? It's like a...
It's a Friday.
No.
I have the day off.
We have the day off because it's like a holiday?
Yeah.
It's not Friday.
It is a Friday.
Nope.
Yes,
It's because my birthday, which is the 28th of September.
Oh, wait. What if it's flipped? Oh, no.
What do you mean?
Well, I always forget your birthday.
Yeah. So, it's on a Sunday. So that would make the 30th a Tuesday. Right?
Yeah. Nope. That's not right.
So anyways.
I'm pulling out the calendar. Anyway, right after we get out, I'm setting this bus on fire.
Yeah, so Annie very nearly forgot about Michael Emerson's birthday.
When is the 30th?
Just look on your calendar.
Isn't that like a TV show? I don't have that. I had to delete it for more space for my photos.
Also, we could mention, maybe this should have been one of our shout-outs.
Sorry.
Annie her favorite show will always be Lost, but there's a new show that Annie's been enjoying lately.
Yeah, Criminal Intent.
Law and Order Criminal Intent.
September.
So that's kind of another shout-out to think about.
Tuesday?
So, like I said, it's on the Tuesday.
But I have the day off. Why would I?
Because it's Truth and Reconciliation Day. It's a holiday.
Oh.
So...
Well, we are filming one of the podcasts.
We'll see you later in September.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good things to come as far as Annie's concerned. If you like the others, if you like Ben Linus, don't give up on this podcast. You know?
I know. I'm shaking in my boots. I'm so excited.
Annie's going to have a lot of opinions. She's going to have a lot to say.
Yeah, that's why we have to have 3 3 entire episodes.
I mean, like, I'm already afraid of the hot takes. Like,
Oh,
what is she going to come up with?
they're going to be diabolical.
They're going to be really hot as far as, like, the more controversial, the hotter they are. So yeah, stay tuned. Like, you know.
Like, just, like, so close. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the art. Because I already have, like, so many drawings of Ben. But it's okay. We'll figure it out.
And on a final note, I just want to wish Annie good luck because tomorrow she is going to audition for a play. And so...
And, you know, if I don't get the role, I can always purge them.
Yeah, I fear for this whole situation, but hopefully nothing bad will happen and Annie will be cast in a good part.
Or, like, arson is always a good one.
Yeah.
This is what I've learned from Lost.
I just hope that, like, this podcast doesn't get entered into
You just need a rock.
And some kind of legal
Put it on the brake.
But
light a match.
So if I do survive till next week, we'll see you then.
I still need you for next week. You still need to ask me about Ben.
Yeah, I still need to be your sounding board for your platform to talk about Benjamin Linus.
Anyways, follow me on Pinterest.
And we've nearly reached the 42-minute mark. So as you know, that is when it's time to wrap up. So namaste.
And see you in another life. Oh, just in time.